to start, maybe you can just give us like a little bit of an overview as a head coach or someone who's running the team or running a practice, whatever, what kind of your philosophies were about practicing. So everything from like how you divide up teaching time versus drill time, how you set up the team structure, um, doing system stuff versus skill stuff, and just kind of your thoughts around coaching a practice in general before we
Yeah.
get more specific.
Yeah. Well, you got to first of all kind of look at how much time you have every week to practice. So if it's 2 practices a week, you kind of try to be as efficient as you can. Um, Practices to me are your obviously your teaching, right? So that's what, and there needs to be a purpose in your practices. If you go out and just run the same drill all the time, I shouldn't say that's not the best idea because sometimes it is. Like for example, if you have a young team that they just need to be um, they can't pass the puck well. I did this with one of my young teams before. They were just horrible at passing the puck. We spent a ton of time with passing drills, not drills, but like game like drills, so that the puck would move nice and quick, and they had good habits. So yes, there was a lot of repetitiveness in some of the drills, but that was for a purpose because they weren't very good at it. So it was about doing number of reps so that it was like they didn't have to think about it so much. But anyways, how would you set up the structure versus drills and all that stuff? So I think it's important. Earlier, like if I was to have a choice earlier in the week, I would do a lot more. Not, I don't want to. I always want to make sure that when I say skills, is that people don't think it's pylons and peps, right? What I could mean by that, it could be a lot of passing. It could be a lot of whatever game situation that involves skill. So it could be passing, could be skating, skating with passing, and all that stuff. That's where I would spend most of my time um, getting ready for just so they're skating, touching pucks, making good plays. And then I may or may not touch on a system thing. Well, no, I will touch on a system thing. Like we're going to do something like it's going to be either one end of the ice, like maybe it's um, breakouts and defensive zone. So that we could take a piece of time to do that. Then the next practice is going to be a little bit more structured to get us ready for a game. So this is how we play, and then it might be a forecheck and a penalty kill or a power play and a whatever. So, anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so I think because we've talked, like I said, we've talked about some of this stuff before. So I want to maybe ask this question because I think this is a good one. Obviously, in practice, you want to be teaching, but how do you balance or how do you draw the balance between like time at the board where you're explaining the why, assuming you're being a good coach and you want to explain the why behind what you're doing? How do you balance time at the whiteboard versus time actually running the routes, doing the drill? Or do you kind of try to integrate it in one in the same? Like, for example, you go to the whiteboard, explain the drill, we run the drill, but you stop the drill to teach, versus we spend 10 minutes at the board and then just run the drill and I leave them alone. Like, what are your thoughts on balancing that kind of time thing?
Yep. So a lot of people have a theory that you don't want to waste good ice time, and I would agree with that. So one way that you can help with that is this is what my rule was is be ready 10 minutes before practice. Most practices, I would say most or every practice, there would be very few that I didn't do this, where I would just go over what we're going to do. All right. So there's one. So they get to see it. And I already know that um, some guys are going to forget the first drill, but they've seen it. And hopefully with that, you get 10, 10 10 out of 20, I was going to say 50% or more that, yeah, okay, I know what I'm doing so that we can get her going. Okay, so that's number one. I'm not a big proponent of like wasting time on the ice is like if you're sitting there on the board for 25 minutes or 5 minutes at a time and you never get anything done, that's to me a waste of time. But I think it's important that people do things right. So going over drills and the purpose and stuff like that, I think that's worthwhile. So if it's a couple minutes, that's fine. And I would actually rather have people or my team understand what I'm doing instead of stopping it and snapping on them. Do you know what I mean? So I'd rather take a minute or two or 30 seconds or whatever to go over the drill, say everybody understand, you got it, you understand the purpose of this. And if they do, then we're in good shape. Um, what was my train of thought there? Now, yeah, so My next theory on skill, whether skill building or team drills and stuff like that, is do you understand or whatever? So it's show. So if let's say it's a skill drill, I can show. Now you do, and then let them fail or succeed. So if they fail, it's good to fail once or twice so that you can point things out, right? If they succeed, great, and then you can point out the good and the bad. So I think it's important that once a drill or a skill drill or whatever it is going on, it's important to be, let's just do a simple neutral zone D to D up, right? So let's say the D are, they're executing the drill properly. Like let's say all five guys are executing the drill properly, but let's say the D are not moving their feet at all.
The details.
So
Yeah.
it's just without going to the board and stopping the whole practice is D, move your feet, D, move your feet, D, like the coaching cues that get them to maybe get them going. So D, move your feet, keep your head up, centerman, swing low, swing wide, swing deep, so that we or a pass option. And if they continue to not to do it, or you see a couple passes that weren't in the right area, or they're off, or they weren't strong hard passes or accurate, then there's a reason for it. So it could be, okay, hold on, D, everybody, remember what I said to you. If you do, if moving your feet, good things happen. Not moving your feet, bad things happen. So look at the last couple of practice or passes. D weren't moving their feet. Look what happens. The passes don't get there, or you're not, when you're moving the puck, you're not in a position to defend or to jump in the rush. Blah 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 blah. So you can do that actively, and then there's times where you have to stop because it's just done wrong, right? But so some of the teaching can be done in time, right? One more thing about that though is, again, goes down to your audience, because I just had in the last couple of weeks, I had a younger group, older group. So it's been progressing, and then in my mornings before I start my day, I have a younger group, older group, and the younger group has an attention span of about like a gnat, right? They don't have it, so it's like it's actively teaching, and then that's why having good help on the ice with, so that things can still roll, and I could pull you aside, Eric, and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, fix this, so that it's constant and they can learn in time. So younger guys you're going to get a little more frustrated with, you typically. Older guys have a little bit of attention span, and you can relate to a little bit better. Anyway, I can anyways. So maybe some guys can't relate to an older kid, they can relate better to younger kids, but that would be my philosophy.
Yeah. I think in terms of keeping the flow going, I think it comes down to the level of preparation as a coach, right? Like you need to know why you're doing the drills, or doing the purpose for the drill, because it shouldn't take you long to explain it. Like these aren't things that need to take 10 minutes to explain, right?
Well, that's why I like to keep things at every level. Start off with basic, right? And then you could always add a pass, add a back check, add a forecheck, add pressure, whatever, all those things. But if you start basic and have one teaching point and another teaching point, or another layer of executing something, then that's how you can kind of just make it better.
Yeah.